Alright, so like everybody else, I want a micrometer cedar die. But I'm pretty sure the micrometer cedar dies have the same exact threads, they just have a calibrated set of markings on them to be micrometer. Okay, so I put a set of markings on this with a paint pen, just approximate quarters. Now, for every half between a quarter, so an eighth of a turn, I get about 5 thousandths, and I mean it's pretty damn close. I just turned from 170 to 200, and I was 1,000th too deep based off my guesstimate hash marks here. So I'm going to adjust this off camera, and I'm gonna go, what are we hunting for? 214. So basically from here, exactly halfway between here will be 205, 210, 215, 214. I'm going to be somewhere in here, and we'll see if that gets us where we want. Okay, so let's get into the bones of this here. I have a test that I came up with in my head because I'm still displeased with what the spears are doing. I'm still getting, you know, around 1 inch to 1.25 inches is my regular group. And, you know, the whole reason why I bought these bullets is to shoot them. And I like shooting and I like testing as much as I would love to just have a load that's accurate and I run it. I still have a good time testing and adjusting. So what we have here is, I had an idea this morning to use that ogive comparator. It's a you know, case head to ogive comparator of sorts. It's not exact, but it serves my purposes, you know, to the wider point of the ogive of the bullet. And I can go into detail about how I built that if somebody's interested. But what we have is, I measured my most accurate load that I have, which is with the 73 grain ELD match. Now those are such a long bullet from start of the ogive to bullet tip that we're right tickling 2.260 case overall length with those, but on the comparator is 2.297, which is achievable with these spear bullets. So I never hit this overall length. I never got down to 1.7. The lowest I got was 1.85 because that's what Spear recommended. I'm far enough away from a max charge that I feel pretty safe doing this, but this is wildcat shit, so don't do this. But we're gonna shoot this test, and I think that's pretty promising. The other thing is that I'm so far from max with these loads that I think they're not reaching the harmonic happy zone of my particular rifle. Both of the other loads that shoot accurately, like sub MOA groups regularly with this rifle, are close to a max charge, like show pressure signs on the head, flat primers, you know, a mark from my ejector on my bolt face, you know, the works. So this, being the same exact charge but a shorter overall length, should get me closer to that happy fun zone of close to a max pressure that my rifle seems to like. Okay, then the center load is the one I just showed you guys my micrometer invention. Those are, I measured my VMAX loads, which shoot consistently 1 inch or under. I measured those with a comparator at 2.340 inches. And so then I played around with these spear bullets and was able to figure out that approximately 2.214 case overall length gets me to 2.340 on the comparator. And so I've got 10 of those, and then my last 10 is Case overall length 2.200, which is what Hornady called for, which is what I've been shooting, which is what shoots around an inch. That's probably one of the better groups I've ever gotten with it. But you know, most often around an inch, inch and a quarter, inch and a half. Okay, so that's my last 10 to the right. That's my control group. I expect it to shoot an inch and a half, inch and a quarter, the same as always. And if either one of these is better, we're going to be pleasantly surprised and very, very happy. Okay. Bye. Alright, so I went a little bit past the center mark here because I always don't want to seat a bullet too deep on the first try, because then I gotta weigh powder again. So let's seat this bullet and see what it do. .216. Can you see that? 216. So just about on the button for a tiny bit long. So I'll adjust that in a skosh. .213 thereabouts. So I went a tiny bit too far, but let's put a comparator on it, and we have 3.7, and we're looking for 4.0. So overdid one. I will put some Sharpie marker on it. There's 1.4, and this is why I'm putting the comparator on it, because I can't exactly trust the tips with these you know, lead soft points. So that's why I built the comparator, and why I've been putting the comparator on it, is so that way I can get a pretty much true or close to true reading. So here we've got 4.0. Yep, 4.0. Okay, now you can see. So now I seat them all to this depth. I've got one that's a tiny bit too short, just what I was trying not to do, but it's one, and that's why I'm doing this test with sets of 10. So this will be 2 5-shot groups. My first group will be my first shot with that shorty, and then that will tell me if the rest of the group followed suit or not. Alright, so I'm gonna finish up this video here, and I am sure that I'm gonna come back to this, because same old thing applies. I've got 1,000 of them. More than anything, I just need an excuse to shoot, and so I'm gonna probably keep experimenting here. I didn't get the answers that I wanted, but I have restored some faith in Hornady, for one, in their reloading manual. Again, I mean, that keeps happening. And I've got some ideas for moving forward, and we'll get into the reasons why. To start, I want to start with, for anyone who doesn't understand. And so I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes here. So your barrel, let's imagine to this drawing, the barrel is yay long. Okay. As soon as you touch off this primer, there is, from the neck of the cartridge in the chamber to the throat, which is generally, as I describe, where the rifling lands begin, is the throat. Now between the cartridge neck and the throat is the free bore. So this bullet as described, has a certain amount of jump. We call this bullet jump. And so with this certain amount of jump, okay, there will be our bullet. When you touch off the primer, instantly explosive forces start causing things to harmonically wiggle. The barrel is wiggling, the action is vibrating, things are all out of whack. Now, as this is occurring, the bullet will jump, engage the lands, pressure from the cartridge will force that bullet out the rifling, and at whatever stage of muzzle whip the rifle is at, when the bullet leaves the muzzle, that's where the bullet's going to travel and mark the paper. Now, obviously, even in the worst case scenarios, I'm assuming that most of the time bullet inaccuracies are to do with muzzle, whip, and harmonics much more than they are to do with bullet construction or accuracy. And I could be wrong here, but it's just my feeling on the matter. And the reason is that with the same bullet, I get many different results. And it doesn't matter what bullet it is. With the same bullet, I get good results and bad results with the same powder, with the same primer, with the same cartridge, nothing changing except seating depth. Not even charge weight. Okay, so that being said, we are generally trying to harmonically tune our seating depth for a particular velocity. Now, it would make sense that Hornady, considering they set their 2.214 overall length, I think it's 2.235, so it's 2.214, 2.340. I might have some mistakes here. Let me go back to my data. Okay, don't mind me, I'm a dum-dum. What it is that 2.214 overall length with the spear correlates on ogive to the 2.235 with the VMAX. But it should have made sense to me that Hornady already did this test, and that's why they have different seating depths for their soft point, spire point, and their VMAX bullets. But anyway, basically what we're trying to do is tune that with the speed of vibrations, or the variation in muzzle whip and barrel vibrations and harmonics, the bullet's leaving the barrel at the same point of whip every time, or close to it, and then you get the 3/4 inch group. What I don't understand is, I mean everything as meticulously and as perfectly as I can load ammunition, we have one group under an inch and one group close to 2 inches. I am completely at a loss. So I'm going to try a different powder for one. I'm going to try a slower powder. Typically, my rifle likes fast powders. You know, there's no constants in this world. So I'm going to try a slower powder. Same seating depth. I'm going to go ahead and do a workup. I might do a new workup with this powder and start at a minimum charge and work up, because I'm mostly just trying to find a very, very accurate load more than I'm trying to find the hottest load, because the VMAX bullets are my hunting bullets. But I don't know, I've got it in my head. I like chasing that close to max area. I like maximum performance, maximum terminal performance. I like using these soft points for things that the VMAX aren't good for. I got too many reasons to do what I want to do. I don't know how to explain to you. Anyway, let's get into the meat of this test. Okay, so I went ahead and measured the groups that I'm interested in. And obviously this 0.990, I thought it was 3/4 of an inch, so maybe 3/4 of an inch would be without this odd flyer. It was a little breezy. It was a little breezy, but you know, these are cruising about 3,100 feet a second and it's only 100 yards, so it shouldn't affect it that much. What I'm very interested in is why it shot a 0.990 here and a 1.5 here. And what else I'm interested in is this here double group. Now, these are the same exact charge and seating depth and everything. But this double group looks like I'm in a harmonic node where 1/10 of a grain down or 1/10 of a grain up is going to cause that rifle to select one or the other, because when something reaches the axial end of its vibration, it pauses momentarily, where velocity slows considerably down as it maximizes the bending forces that the barrel can have applied on it before it returns. So what I'm trying to do is, obviously it looks like my barrel will do this and maybe even more, but as the barrel swings maximum to one side and slows down, I should be able to get a group around 1 inch here or a group around 1 inch here. And I can usually achieve that by going up 1/10 of a grain, 2/10 of a grain, or down 1/10 or 2/10. I don't know what the case is here. So I am curious, and I am going to have a shootout here. I'm going to seat some more bullets to 2.214. I'm gonna load some 26.3 grains, 26.4 grains, and then I'm gonna load some 26.6 and 26.7 grains and see if this will stop double grouping. Even here it looks like something could have changed, because I shot these groups, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. I'd have to pull out my book. I got my book right there for the order in which I shot the groups. But this group still looks like it's some sort of a harmonic, and the barrel's a different temperature now, so the harmonics change slightly. But I want to see if I can get this ironed out of this load, because I think that would make it even better than this and considerably better than this. So that's where I'm at on that. That's the saga continues of the Spear 50 grain soft point. But back to my drawing here. That is why I thought that dealing with various seating depths here would cause me to find a harmonic node. And that is because with my ogive comparator, my jump to the rifling lands, I have started with known distances of other bullets that I use. So, you know, my ELD match, which yields me 1/2 inch groups, I would say not consistently, but about 1/3 of the time it shoots 1/2 inch. 1/3 of the time it shoots about 3/4 of an inch. And the other 1/3 of the time it's somewhere in between. I've never, ever, ever shot that particular load and had a group, let me see, never had a group worse than 0.9 inches. So I thought that would be a good seating depth, a good jump to the lands. And then same with the VMAX. It shoots consistently that 0.8 to 1 inch, 1.1. So I thought that jump to the lands might be a good starting point. And it looks like it is. I just got some more ironing out to do. You know, we're the Hornady ballisticians now. So that's next in the saga.